Good morning, welcome, and hello to all you out there. You are watching Morning Brew on Politics Social. I am Graham Hughes. It is Wednesday, the 2nd of July, 2025. Well done for getting here. What's this? What's this from Sarah Davis saying I'm fashionably late? I'm never late, nor am I early. I arrive exactly when I mean to, or when, my computer allows me to do the things that I need to do to prep the show. And sometimes, it just lets me do them. Sometimes it goes, oh, no, I'm going to be awkward about it for no good reason other than to do your head in. And today was one of those days. That's okay. And also there's a traffic queue dropping the kids off at school. No. Anyway, right. So, Anne Phillips says, just looking up my MP's voting record. Looks like yesterday's vote hasn't made to the site yet. Probably with the government she mostly does. My MP voted against. My Labour MP voted against the bill. So, we're going to talk about this today. Obviously, we talked about it yesterday, what might happen. The bill has gone through, but they've had to drop even more stuff from it. So, the deal was done last week that they were going to drop the any kind of drawback on PIP for anyone who's already getting it. And now they're saying that even new applicants for PIP are not going to have anything detrimental done to them until there's a review, which isn't going to come into place until November next year or something like that. So let's talk about it. Let's get into it. Before I do, though, Richard Gumpigate, hello. And Martin, Diz, Scott, Zoshalix, got Nick and Diff there as well, Veg Pie, got Anne Phillips, got Vendetta, got Acro Dave, Alistair is in the chat. Hello, Alistair. How you doing? All you need to do to join our friends in the chat here, our beautiful socialites, is hit that lovely subscribe button, which isn't working. Why is nothing working today? Ah, my good little Chewbacca impression there. Baby Chewbacca. I can't even find the thing. Where's the thing that says subscribe? I can find super chat. There it is. Subscribe. Okay. There we go. Look at that. It's like watching your nan trying to compose an email. Anyway, so we had the vote yesterday on the welfare bill, the government's flagship welfare bill that got absolutely gutted yesterday. So I just happened to notice that on my feed here, it just says, has Keir Starmer just blown his ... An intriguing title that I chose this morning for the show. Anyway, so the welfare reform bill passed yesterday. Second reading. There's committee stage now. It's going to go to the House of Lords and it comes back to Parliament, and there's a third reading at some point. Anyway, it passed by 335 votes to 260, and it gave the Labour Party, the Labour government, a majority of 75, but 49 Labour MPs rebelled, more than triple the last largest rebellion, which was around this time last year, actually. Well, it was the King's Speech, wasn't it? Where they backed an SNP motion. Central pack of the bill, which was cuts to PIP, was shelved, and the U-turn came just hours after Liz Kendall assured Parliament that the PIP changes would go ahead. So, Starmer forced into a humiliating last-minute climb down. Arguments going off all over the shop between various factions of the Labour Party, and there's been a lot of anger directed towards the backbenchers that have rebelled from the central government people, and there's been a lot of anger towards the central government people, particularly the advisors to the government from the backbenchers. So there's a lot of anger and confusion going on. Anger and confusion. A complete own goal by Labour, this. Absolutely massive own goal. Didn't need to do this at all. It's incredibly frustrating that they sat down and said, okay, we need to save some money. Why? Because we left the EU and now we're everyone's poorer. Every family in this fucking country is £1,500 poorer a year because we left the EU. and over 70 million people. That's a lot. That's a lot of money. That's a shitload of money that we just don't have anymore because we decided to leave the European Union. And then they go, yeah, but look at Germany. They're not doing so well right now, and they're in the European Union. Yeah. Germany would be doing worse than it is now if it had decided to leave the European Union. It was the stupidest thing we could have possibly ever done. How stupid was it? I'll tell you how stupid it was. The people in around continental Europe, who are mainland Europe, who are all for being a big fucking Nazi. That's the AfD, Moroni in Italy, Le Pen in France, Orban in Hungary. They all no longer want to leave the EU. So even dickhead Nazis looked at this situation and went, actually, we could do with that money. Like, money is good. Like, more money, having more money is a good thing, I think. Having more money than having less money. But no, we chose to impose... Well, we didn't choose. The Russians, the fucking Russians chose for us. The Russians chose to impose economic sanctions on us. And we said, yeah, we'll do that. We'll put economic sanctions on ourselves. We'll have no inquiry into this fraudulent foreign interference, £7 million paid by Aaron Banks. We still don't know where it came from. And people still think that Nigel Farage is a decent guy. They still think he's an honourable politician somehow. Lying, scheming piece of shit human being who puts pictures out on social media of him lounging around on a fucking couch in Belgravia saying, oh, well, this is the party of the common man, really. We're representing the workers, the working class. Anyway, Sarah, thank you. Sorry for saying you were late. Oh, don't worry about it, Sarah. I was only joshing. Might be a couple of minutes late. I don't like keeping people waiting. Don't like keeping people waiting. But I did on this occasion decide to have some breakfast before I started the show. And I did that because yesterday I was absolutely starving. By the end of the show, I was like, I'm going to have to wrap this up. Partly because the electrician's coming around. And I could have just... Little side quest here. You don't mind, do you? Little side quest. They actually fixed it. They fixed the problem. We've had a problem with our smart meter for 2 fucking years. And every time someone comes out from the Lecky company, they go, oh, we're going to do a deep charge, recycle, upbeat, downbeat, control, delete beat. And I'm like, yeah, we've done that 7 times before. It won't work. Well, that's what I've got down on my notes. We just got to do a little bit of a control, alt, delete, and do a power cycle and should all work. No. The meter is faulty. It has never worked. Oh, well, we got a reading from 7 days ago. Yes, for an hour, and then it stopped. Right. It's not the way it should. Anyway, finally, after 2 years, they finally replaced our meter, and it worked straight away. Thanks for that. Finally getting there. Had to get the ombudsman involved and all kinds of shit. We also had a few knock and runs, where they turn up and they say, oh, I turned up at the house. Turned up at the house. Okay. Have you got any evidence of that? Yeah, we took a picture of the front door. Send us the picture. Someone else's front door. That's not our house. Oh. Anyway, the Sparky who came yesterday, he'd been here before. The first time he came here, he went, you need a new meter, but I don't have the authorization to install one for you. So he came back and he said, yeah, now I've got the authorization. I can put this fucking meter in. It took him about 5 minutes. Anyway, so that was my side quest. Thanks for sticking with me through that. We'll get back onto the welfare bill and Starmer's dilemma in a moment. Maggie Pie. The Sweden Democrats also stopped being pro-Sweden. Swexit. Thanks for that, Maggie Pie, for the 20 Swedish krona. Yvonne of Okafor, thank you very much for the £2 super chat. Even Farage will get his karma. Please let it be. One day. Starmer needs to have a word with Reeves. says Chris C. A gentle reminder that she is a Labour Chancellor and not a Tory Chancellor. And if she wants to keep the role, she needs to start acting like Labour. Yeah, I agree. If Rod Stewart says Farage is worth giving a shot, who is our marksman? Can't say that. But he just did. Ivan, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. I have a different perspective on it, and I'm unapologetic about it. Morgan McSweeney is the one who's got to go. Yeah, there's a lot of hate coming down for Morgan McSweeney. Do you know what the response has been? But he won us the election. Are you daffy? Do you know who won the election for you? 14 years of Tory misrule. That won the election for you. That literally won the election. If the Tories had been in any way competent in any way, shape or form, then they would have won that election, as they'd just won all the elections beforehand, because all the billionaires want them to win. But they're taking it too far. They were too crap, too incompetent, too useless. They weren't actually doing anything in government. Like, do you remember the last sort of year of the Tory dysfunctional government? They were just going on about Rwanda all the time. It was just Rwanda this, Rwanda that, right? It was because they had literally no other policies. They had no ideas to put through Parliament. The 2019 manifesto was just like, we'll get Brexit done. That was it. It was 3 words, get Brexit done. And they did that. And then they said, you talk to a Brexiter now and they're like, oh, we didn't really leave the EU. This is what pisses me off about these dumb fucks, right? They're like, we didn't really leave the EU. I'm like, yes, we fucking did, mate. I can guarantee we did leave the fucking EU, you stupid twat. Now, we don't have any representation in Europe when we're, discussing, I don't know, defence, trade, investment, important stuff. Well, we never really left. We never really left them. I'm like, these people are so thick. Here's what we should have done, right? We just told them that we had left. Because they wouldn't have believed it anyway. So yeah, we left. We totally left. Now, if you don't want to vote in the European elections, you don't have to. True story. Now, if Ireland's going to, get invaded, we don't have to go to rush to their defence. Because they're not part of NATO. I mean, we would. But I'm just saying we don't have to. It's the same with the British pound. You shouldn't have joined the euro. Yeah, absolutely. Can't join the euro. That'd be awful. We'll lose the picture of Queenie on the notes. And God, the Ravens will leave the Tower of London. The liver birds will fly away. The Rome will fall. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to peg the value of the pound to the euro 1-to-1. There you go. Happy days. Now a euro is worth £1 and vice versa. So you can just take a euro. Whenever you go for a euro, you can just take a euro. You don't have to have any exchange rates. How about that? Just go and pay whatever you pay in one country, you pay in another. That's great. No overseas bank charges. Didn't you love them? Didn't you love that you spend £5 on a fucking coffee and then your bank charges you an extra £1.50? That's nice at the minute. Fucking bankers. But yeah, we haven't really left Europe. Oh, well, no, it's all right. We haven't really joined the euro. Jovian, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. It's very kind of you. 2-tier Tory Keir, I like what you've done there, should be removed from office ASAP. Okay, well, let's talk about this. So, Starmer yesterday, was forced into a humiliating last-minute climb down. This wasn't a minor tweak to the bill. An entire clause was removed from the bill. His party has a 165-seat majority, working majority. That's taking out the tellers and the speaker and the people who don't get a vote for whatever reason. An effective majority of 165. And he still nearly lost. I mean, this is the 1-year anniversary of Labour coming into power on Friday. This should be the day that, this week, we should be looking back and going, wow, look at the amazing things that Labour has achieved in its first year of power, but it's been absolutely overshadowed by their own incompetence. And they can get fucked. You can tell me, but Graham, they've done this, they've done that, the other. I don't think it should be up to me to tell you that. I don't think it should be up to Phil Morehouse to tell you that. I think it should be up to Labour to tell you what Labour is doing. Sorry for shouting. Labour to tell you what Labour are fucking doing. But no, they don't. They go, the facts will speak for themselves. No, mate. Facts don't speak for themselves. That's why we have anti-vaxxers. And people who deny climate change. And people who deny, evolution. Because the facts do not speak for themselves. They need erudite speakers, gavelous motherfuckers, born with the gift of the gab and a little bit of showman in them, or show lady, to actually get the message out to people. Because people are fucking busy. They haven't got time to read a book, never mind a manifesto. They haven't got time to read an article. Need to be told. But Labour aren't interested in doing that. No, there's a waste of money in it, telling people what we're doing. It's not like we're fighting an election. Dickheads. Always be campaigning. ABC. Always be campaigning. Paula, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. No policies other than digging the biggest black hole they could in the economy. Thanks for that, Paula. And Maggie is back with another 50 Swedish krona. That is very kind of you. Remember when Liz Truss tweeted that there should be something like NATO but for trade? Well, there kind of is, Miss Salad Twat. You used to be in it. Yeah, I kind of well, I don't know. How many members of NATO are also part of the EU? Was it 28 of them? 32 members of NATO. 28 of them are in Europe. I mean, I guess Britain's not. Then you've got Turkey, haven't you? Turkey in the UK. All the rest of them fucking in the EU. Of course they are. Of course they are. Norway. Norway's not in the EU. It's part of NATO. Sweden isn't, though. Sweden is not. Jovian, thank you. Speak up, I can't hear you. Okay, I'll start to shout. I just spilt my coffee. I'm just going to have to wipe my coffee up off the table. God, this is such a professional outfit. I like the early days of GB News where everything went wrong, and my little channel here just seems so much more professional than this channel that had been given £70 million by the dad of the fucking banjo player from fucking Mumford and Sons. I don't know. Anyway, so yes. So who forced the U-turn? Well, Angela Rayner led the back channel negotiations with the rebels. Stephen Timms announced the U-turn to the chamber. Rachel Maskell, she tabled a wrecking amendment with 42 Labour MPs. Meg Hillier led the first wave of dissent, now blamed for marching them up the hill and then leaving them there last week. Rebel MPs, mostly from the left of the party, but not exclusively. And Rayner's shuttle diplomacy seems like the only thing that saved the bill. And Labour's internal tensions, which were simmering away in the background, and we've been talking about them for a while now. We're talking about the tensions between backbenches and Morgan McSweeney and with Rachel Reeves. This is now open. Like everybody knows it now. It's not just us politics wonks. And resentment, there's a lot of resentment amongst backbenchers over Number 10's, what they call student politics handling of the situation, which is a bit, unfair on student politics. So the key consequences of this is the original plan was to save £4.8 billion by 2029, 2030. And after these concessions, the net savings are going to be nil point. Big duck egg, a big fuck all. Reeves now needs to find $5 billion elsewhere. Oh, plus the 1.25 billion that they just had to blow on their winter fuel U-turn. So, likely options now are going to be tax rises in the autumn budget, delayed spending promises, and scrapping the plan to lift the 2-child benefit cap. That's not good, is it? If only we weren't in a situation where we had to make these decisions of who we can only afford to help out a few of the needy, not all of the needy. So we've got the elderly, we've got people with disabilities, and we've got children, right? So we'll look after the elderly because they vote, don't they? Well, and I suppose we can't. Can we really take? Can we not take? Can we not take like the money away from disabled people? I mean, wouldn't that be? No, we can't do that. Okay. How about we take candy from a baby? Apparently, that's really easy. So there you go. Kids are going to have to pay. And if only we hadn't fucked our own economy, eh? If only those Brexit bastards like fucking Tice and Aaron Banks and Michael Gove and Rees Mogg and what's his name? That horrible man, Boris Johnson, Farage, Nick fucking Ferrari, that horrible little twat who owns the fucking Weatherspoons pub, the horrible little twat that makes those hand dryers and the vacuum cleaners that make so much noise it destroys people's hearing. Yeah, all those motherfuckers, all of them went to private school, I know I mention this a lot, but it really fucking irks me. Every single motherfucker who told you to vote for Brexit went to private school. Knowing that it wasn't going to take away their freedom of movement because they have the money to have the freedom of movement. The rest of us are free to say, Pat. Cat, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Woohoo! Could be worse. At least you don't live in America. Or are we supposed to think that? No, I thank my lucky stars every day that I was not born in America and I don't live in America. It is the bad place on so many levels. But what we've got to be aware of is the fact that a lot of that American money, that dark money from these lunatic, apocalyptic Christians who think that the world's going to fucking end and if they make a big enough war in the Middle East and Jesus is going to come back and be a soldier, I guess, and shoot at kids queuing up for food. It's that sort of thing that Jesus might do, I suppose. I don't really know what their thinking is on that. But a lot of those think tanks, the Heritage Foundation, the Federalist Society and all that, they've got their greasy little grubby tendrils into our system over here. We have them funding think tanks. We have them pouring money into 55 Tufton Street. The Conservatives have now set up a political action committee that is just not for the Conservative Party, just for right-wing policies in general. They will support refuck, they'll support Conservatives, they'll support the BNP or whichever right-wing piece of shit bunch of knobheads they feel like supporting from one day to the next. We don't have the equivalent on the left, and we really should. And it's something that I've talked about for a long time, and it's a source of kind of like not just frustration but shame. I feel genuine shame that at 46 I'm not in a position to be able to kickstart this sort of thing, because it could be paid by micropayments. It could definitely be funded on the left by people subscribing each month for £10 or something like that, giving into this political action committee that pushes left-wing, progressive, decent, nice, polite, green policies. Ivan, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. People keep saying the DWP is the most hated government department by the public in general, but it's also the most hated government department by the people who have to use its services or services. Yep. I think it's the most hated government department by the government as well, by the looks of things. That's a bit of a poison chalice, isn't it? Secretary of State for Works and Pensions. Do I have to have that one? Can someone else do it? But thanks very much for the super chat, mate. Maggie Pie, thank you very much for the 20 Swedish krona. Don't forget Dominic Raab, who didn't read the Good Friday Agreement. Yes, Maggie Pie, although Dominic Raab didn't go to private school. So that unfortunately is the exception that proves the rule. Liz Truss didn't go to private school either, but she didn't want Brexit, and then she did. And then she said that we weren't allowed to change our mind. And then she was confronted with the fact that she changed her mind. And she went, oh yeah, but I changed my mind. But that's okay. Did anyone see yesterday Kristi Noem, who's in charge of fucking ICE over in America, right? I wouldn't even put charge of a fucking ice cube. Never mind fucking Homeland Security. This is the puppy killer. She took a little dog, like a baby fucking dog, and shot it in the fucking head because it was making too much noise. It's a fucking psycho. It's a plastic-faced bimbo psycho fucking knobhead. Anyway, she was doing a press conference or something yesterday, and she claimed that they deported the cannibal to Guatemala. And you know what he did? He started eating himself on the way home. And I'm like, that's got to be AI. Like, no functioning adult would say something so horrendously stupid. But no. These people have all the confidence in the world. They just don't have any of the fucking brain power that would justify that confidence. We deported a cannibal, and on the flight home, he started eating himself. Put that on a fucking plaque. Put that on a statue so everyone can fucking see the fucking stupidity of these stupid motherfuckers. He was a bit peckish, so he just started eating his hands because that's what cannibals do, you know. Paula, thank you very much for £5 super chat. My niece, her husband, and her daughter live in the USA. Worries the hell out of me, says Paula. Oh. I worry for my friends in the States. I've got a couple of very, very good friends who thankfully can spend a lot of the year in Canada, but they still have to go back. They have to go back because they can't get residency in Canada, and it's just, I don't know. I'm really scared for them. I'm scared for I've got a few friends who live in America. I've got a few British friends who are over there. Yeah, it does worry me. Graham, channel's been demonetized again, but Graham is right about Noam. She's like, just when you think it couldn't get any worse, it's like a babushka doll of shit, isn't it? Like in Trump's cabinet, you just keep opening it and there's more and more shit. If you were watching Geoscope last night and I was talking about the guy who's got like a massive face and really small features and he looks fucked up, his name's Matt Gaetz and he was done for sex trafficking across state lines, but he got away with it because he's rich and his mates are rich, and rich people don't have to follow the same rules and, you know, regulations and laws that the rest of us have to abide by, you know, especially if we're not white. Anyway, should we get back to what we were supposed to be talking about the fiscal black hole? Will Reeves survive this budget? And Labour's centralist competence image is now, you know, it's now economically shredded. It's gone, isn't it? It's gone into the shredder. Let's talk about Liz Kendall. So she spent Tuesday defending the PIP cuts, only for them to be abandoned hours later. She appeared quite contradictory and confused during the debate yesterday. She's now being openly questioned inside Labour's ranks, not just us from the outside, you know, throwing our rotten tomatoes. No, they're throwing the rotten tomatoes. The call is coming from inside the House of Commons. Some saying that she should resign. And the quotes, the John Crace quote, downbeat Kendall acts as if she no longer believes in welfare reform. And Kendall's damage control statement is, I'll continue to listen to colleagues. And, you know, is she finished as Work and Pension Secretary? If I was her, I'll just step down. Do you know what I mean? Like I say, it's a shit job. It's a shit job. But you know, there's another question to be asked. Was she set up to fail by number 10? There's a question for you. Anyway, so let's get on to the sort of broader picture here, right? Not just about this policy, but looking at Labour over the last year, right? It looks like Starmer isn't fully in control of his party. It looks like he has got poor political instincts. And it feels like he's been dismissive of internal dissent. And you can't be. You just can't be, especially in the Labour Party. You might be able to get away with that shit if you're a Tory, but not in the Labour Party. You just can't do it. And yeah, the delay in concessions on this bill escalated the rebellion. This could have been sorted out 2 months ago, 3 months ago. And MPs are voicing their dissatisfaction, their frustration at the lack of communication from whips and ministers. And, Chris Mason said on the BBC, a government transparently not in control of events, shoved around humiliatingly by Parliament. And we've got to ask now, a year into Labour's government, is Starmer's grip on power now fundamentally weakened? Has the aura of competence collapsed? Like it did for Truss. Well, I'd say like it did for Truss. She never had the aura of competence, did she? She always looked like a fucking nutcase. And do Starmer's own MPs know what he believes? Does Starmer even know what he believes? I don't know. 49 Labour MPs voted against the bill. 42 of them backed Maskell's wrecking amendment to just destroy the whole bill, take it off entirely. Many more threatened to rebel but were talked down, and others abstained or faked illness to avoid voting. But the people rebelled because these PIP changes, this is not a figure that's just been plucked out of my arse or out the air or out off the front cover of the Daily Mail. This is the government's own figures. These PIP changes would have pushed 150,000 people into relative poverty. And the impact assessment showed, surprisingly, a disproportionate effect on disabled people. Go away. You mean the personal independence payments that only disabled people get? Okay. And who is going to be pushed into poverty? The disabled people? It's really hard to understand the link there. Wow, you'd need a degree in astrophysics to be able to work that one out. Get on those blackboards, like in the movies where they put all the equations all over the blackboards. Do they exist in real life? Did anyone do physics? Do you go into the physics lecture hall and there's just like every square inch of the board is covered in equations? Strange times. The memories of Harriet Harman's welfare abstention in 2015 still sort of haunts Labour MPs. And there's been audible anger over top-down policymaking and inexperienced whips and inexperienced, I would say, advisors. Like Morgan McSweeney, they reckon he won the election for Labour. And as I said, no, that was the Tories being shit. That's what won this for Labour last year. It was that the Tories were that shit. They're not getting any better, especially with Kemi Badenoch in charge. So long may that continue. But yeah, the inexperience of policy comes in here, where you look at someone who goes, well, let's say for a moment that Morgan McSweeney did win the election for Labour. Great. He's good at winning elections. Why does that mean he's good at policy? Why does that mean he's good at looking at what people actually need in their lives, what this country needs, and thinking of, like, I don't know, clever ways of doing this stuff that helps people, rather than trying to do horrible things on the sly, rather than thinking, how can we get away with this? How about just doing boss things and then crowing it from the rooftops? Instead of just sort of, whenever something amazing, that Labour do something amazing, they just sort of put their heads down and go, oh, don't want to talk about it. Don't want to talk about it. It's like getting a VC, the experience was so traumatic, I don't want to talk about it. This was a rebellion against the process as much as it was against policy. That Labour I feel they've got it all wrong. I think they need to look at, and I don't know if Phil's going to argue with me too much on this on Friday. It'll be interesting to see what he's got to say about it. But I genuinely think that the Labour government need to understand that they need to get their MPs on side. And, the MPs aren't bad people. They're not in it to feather their own nest. They're not sitting there going, oh, this bill isn't horrible enough, like what's happening in America right now. No. Most of them are decent people. And they want to vote for what they think is right. Plunging 150,000 disabled people into poverty is not right. No one on this planet could make a convincing argument for why that would be a good thing. You might be able to argue that it was necessary in order to do something else, but to make it a good thing in its own right, I think that's impossible. And what this whole escapade, this episode, just shows is this growing gap between number 10 and the rest of the party, which is not a good thing. Tory reaction has been pure Schadenfreude. Also capitulation, so can be bad enough. Bad enough. Helen Waitley says describing this as chaos now feels like an understatement, which is a bit rich coming from a Tory, but there you go. The Conservatives, they're gleeful, but rather hypocritical. Tory welfare cuts were worse, but they got the party behind them because they're all a bunch of fucking sadists. And of course they got their budget cut through for the poor because it wouldn't affect them. None of these motherfuckers ever vote, the Tories in particular, they never vote for anything that would make their lives worse. They would never sacrifice one little thing. These motherfuckers wouldn't say, hey, do you know what? It's costing it too much to pay for everyone's second house in London. So let's just stay in hotels. It'll be cheaper. Let's just stay in fucking hotels. Or the government can buy houses. Number 10 is where the Prime Minister lives. We can have these houses around London, and when you become an MP, you move to one of these houses, or you can use one of these houses. There you go. That's cheaper than a hotel. Because obviously a hotel will be a couple £100 a night. How about MPs don't have to travel first class on the train? Okay, first class makes no fucking difference. All you get is a free bottle of Stella. That's it. And yet the ticket costs £213. And you get a bottle of Stella. Why don't you just get a normal fucking ticket and buy, 17 fucking crates of Stella? Actually, you still have some money left over. Ivan, thank you very much for all the MPs. They all get first class travel. They never do anything. They never vote for something that would actually impact the MPs negatively. It's always other people. It's always everyone else carrying the burden. It's that Brexit thing again. Didn't affect any of the people who told you to vote for it. It just affected the people who voted for it. And the people who didn't vote for it, like me, voted against it. Because I'm not an idiot. Thank you very much to Ivan Ambrose for the £5 super chat. Kemi Badenoch, you said yesterday, thank goodness the Tories were in power during COVID. How dare she? How dare she? Oh my God. Did she actually say that out loud through her face? That's... Mate. COVID inquiry is not showering the Tories in glory by any stretch of the imagination. Helen Twatley says Vendetta. Yeah, that'll do. Jimmy says the biggest single benefit claimant is the one who sits on a posh chair on a hat made of stolen jewels. How the hell can we send him 500 million? Hashtag abolish the monarchy. And then we've got Doc 4x4. Indeed, Scott, except it's usually the full Latin alphabet, the full Greek alphabet, and a few infinities. We're talking about what's written on the blackboards at these places. University lecture halls for physics and mathematics. What lives in number 9 must be a nightmare. Inside number 9. Well, there isn't a number 9. I think on Downing Street there's just number 10 where the Prime Minister is supposed to live, and number 11 where the Chancellor is supposed to live. I've been told. Anyway, cost-cutting measures for MPs, so MPs don't cost us so much. How about to take a pay cut? How about better than the pay cut, right? Give you a pay rise. I will happily pay MPs more money, but they can't have a second job. That's it. They can volunteer. Oh, you're a doctor. Okay, well, volunteer. That's fine. You can spend some time being a doctor. That's cool. But I'm sorry, you're not getting paid. That's it. You can't. I mean, even doctors get money from pharmaceutical companies to push whatever drug it is the pharmaceutical company's trying to, sell. Another prescription for the thing that took me on that nice golfing weekend. Here's something interesting. If you went to see the doctor and you had a choice between being checked over by a 60-year-old man or a 28-year-old woman, who would you choose and why? That's the question I've got for you. So it's a 60-year-old man, male doctor, or a 28-year-old female doctor. Who would be the better person to go and see? Absolutely objectively, okay? Tell me. Right, the fast pace of the bill is inexcusable, says Ivan. Yeah, but I mean, it's still got a long way to go through Parliament yet. It might not even make it, mate. Thank you very much for the super chat. Graham really has made a good channel here. Oh, thank you very much, Scott. Chat box is so good. You can just leave it to us while he sorts himself out. Big up Graham in the chat. Yeah, thanks very much, Scott. And I do like our mods. Thank you. Big shout out to the mods out there for keeping the trolls at bay. Don't abide trolls here. We have a whole internet to explore. Do you know what I mean? Like, the trolls are like zombies and in an island full of zombies, and it's like, it's okay, go live in the woods. It's fine. Don't ask us. Don't come to any of our human habitations, or we'll have to unleash the trebuchets. 60-year-old and competent says, I'm not saying anything about their competence. That's all the information you've got. One is a man and 60 years old. The other is a woman and 28 years old. Amy Walker says 28-year-old woman. 28-year-old woman because the 68-year-old might be losing it. 28-year-old woman, does it matter how old your doctor is? Great question from Captain. Yes, it does. And the reason is this. Medicine changes. The correct answer is the 28-year-old woman. Because she would have recently learnt about medicine and the latest medical breakthroughs and the latest treatments for various ailments and problems, viruses and things like that, right? Whereas the older guy has not studied medicine since the 70s. Or the 80s. Hang on, my math's not doing very well here, is it? Since the 80s, right? Not studied medicine since the 1980s, right? So anything that he learned is like way out of date. In the 1980s, we didn't know anything about gene therapy. We hadn't got Dolly the sheep. There's loads of things I've come on, right? The only learning that doctor, the older doctor, would have done since leaving medical school, whatever, right, is stuff that is paid for by pharmaceutical companies for him to go on a symposium, weekends, a big conference or something paid for by a pharmaceutical company to peddle their shit. Oh, it might not be shit. I mean, I don't want to be too harsh on the pharmaceutical companies. I mean, they have it hard, don't they? Especially the one that make those really, really addictive drugs that are destroying American culture. America at the moment. What's that stuff called? Adderall, something like that. Everyone's addicted to it. Oh my god, my laptop nearly fell off the. Put that down there. Oh, falling off. Yeah, so, or they would have learned stuff on the internet, but there is no formal training beyond what you get after you've been to school and everything. It's not like after 5 years of being a doctor, a GP, that you have to go and you have to learn about all the new things that have come out. So actually, even though the 68-year-old will have more experience, they may have less knowledge. So there you go. But your mileage may vary. 28-year-old woman, training is more recent, said Ben. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. Mr. Tisk says 28-year-old personally but prefer a male doc. That's fair enough. It's your prerogative. 68-year-old male, female, more experienced knowledge. Doctors are always learning the new knowledge. Yeah, but Alistair, even, who's feeding them that knowledge? Like, that knowledge is not coming from a university. It's not coming from a medical school. That knowledge will be coming from a pharmaceutical company that wants to sell its new fucking thing for headaches or whatever it is. Oxycodone. That's it. Oxycodone. That's the one. Thank you. It's one everyone's addicted to, isn't it? I prefer to see younger doctors as they are up to date on medical issues. I find older ones are very quick to dismiss patients. I find that as well. I mean, that's a little bit anecdotal, so I'll try to be as empirical as I can. You could say, yeah, more experience is a good thing in some ways, but in another way, if you feel like you've seen it all before, you can be quite dismissive of stuff, and sometimes when you're dismissive, it leads to bad outcomes for the patients because that thing that you've just been told not to worry about actually was something to worry about, which is something that we should all worry about. As a teacher, I had a different technique in my 50s than in my 20s, says Mr. Tisk. Yeah. And also, I mean, look, the experience is good, but it's just the knowledge. It's not been tested for a very long time. It's like driving. Honestly, as a driver, I would like to see people have to take their tests every 10, 15 years. That is it. That's the rule. You've got to take your test again to make sure that you still remember the road rules. I think it's absolutely mad that I took my test to drive a car 30 years ago, 30 years ago, and I've never been retested. It's just like, oh, sure. You know? Can you remember what you were doing on this day 30 years ago? Because I fucking can't. It's loads of shit I can't remember. Some people I can't remember. People go up to me like, oh, hey, Graham, how you doing? I'm like, hi. I know who you are. And I'm supposed to remember everything that I knew on my test every time I get in the car. I fucking don't. No, I don't. People get into bad habits. No, take your test again. Paula, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Most of the docs I've known have done supplemental masters and PhDs while still practicing. Yep, that's pretty cool. That's pretty good. In Australia, doctors aren't exactly bought by the pharmaceutical industry. Well, I mean, here it's not so bad. I mean, America, it's really bad. But, you know, a lot of these things that are set up for doctors to learn about this new treatment or whatever, it's set up by the pharmaceutical company to sell the new treatment. Yes, MOT drivers as well as vehicles makes sense. Like some drivers are probably in denial about eyesight issues. Absolutely. Well, some people have just got something stuck in their head and they're wrong. The one for me is zipper merging. Like, will people fucking understand that if there are two lanes and it goes down to one, you both drive to the point where it zippers? I wish they'd do it in the middle so there wasn't like one side thinks that it's in the right, okay? In the highway code, it says drive to the fucking cones and then pull over to the left or the right, depending on which lane is closed. And it's supposed to be one in. You let one in every time and you zipper merge, and that solves the issue of people going, no, you're not supposed to drive to the front. Yes, you are, because otherwise a tailback of single line of cars is twice as long as the same tailback if there's two lines of them. Simple as that. And the more the tailback it has, the more it snarls up the traffic behind. But so many people get that wrong, and they're like, oh, look at that bastard going past me while I'm sitting in, the inside lane like an idiot. Oh, God, look at him going past. I've even had people pull out and stop in front of me to stop me going to the front of the queue, even though in the highway code it says go to the front of the queue of traffic. Go to the front. That's what you do. I saw a little clip from Rory Sutherland, the marketing guy, on TikTok this morning, and he made this point. I've kind of made something similar about how shit internal combustion engine cars are, but he was going into how, like, imagine if all cars were electric, and then someone from Volkswagen or something said, hey, I've got this great idea. I've got this new way of powering cars, and you got to get this fossil fuel, and you got to dig out the ground, then you got to refine it, and then it goes in the car, and it's like, okay, does it go any faster? No. Is it simpler? No. There's seven moving parts in an electric motor, and in this motor there's 750,000. Okay. And can you get the fuel at home? Can you just put the energy in? No, you got to drive somewhere to get the energy to put. It was well put. Like, why would we go back to an internal? Why would we choose now to have an internal combustion engine over an electric motor? It just makes no sense at all, unless you think you can drive 350 miles without needing a bathroom break. Also, they straddle two lanes, Graham. Yes, people who do that, they go in the middle to stop people going past, don't they? And they don't know they're in the wrong. They honestly believe. They're like the fucking 9/11 hijackers. They believe they're in the right. They believe they're doing a good thing. I know I shouldn't really, equate the people who murdered 3,000 innocent people with people who just annoy me on the road. But, Ivan, thank you very much to the £5 super chat. I had to surrender my driving license 6 years ago because of my mental illness. I'm sorry to hear that, mate. One of the toughest things with my dad was taking the car keys off him because he got to a point where it was just dangerous for him to be on the road. And my dad was a mechanic. He was, he's an engineer. He built his own motorbikes. Well, he didn't build his own. He put motorbikes together. He fixed up old cars, and he was a racing driver. He's still honorary president of Aintree Race Course in Liverpool, where they've run the Grand National. They used to run the British Grand Prix there in the 1950s and 60s. Used to alternate it for a few years with Silverstone. So taking a guy whose life was just cars, he just absolutely loved cars. Having to take his car keys off him was particularly shit. But I'll still stand by what I said about, I think that we should all have to take our tests again. I know that's going to be shit and inconvenient, and a bit shit and inconvenient for a lot of people, but I think it will just help with traffic safety. I have a nasty case of hives a few years ago, completely bypassed the doctors and went to the pharmacy. I was in agony, but knew it would be pointless to see the GP and end up in the pharmacy anyway, says Nick and Diff. Yep, fair enough. Awful uniform. What? 17 in June, failed in October, and passed in thick snow February. I passed my test when it was bloody cold. I remember the windows fogging up, and I didn't know how to get because I didn't practice. I practiced in like my mum's car or something. I didn't practice in the car that I did the test in, so I didn't know it as well. So I didn't know how to put the blower on and stuff. So I'm sitting there before we drive out of the car park with the examiner next to me, going trying to find the buttons for things. I'm like, do you get marked down for not knowing how to put the blower on? Old age is one of nature's sickest jokes, to be honest. Grimfang. Well, you can still have fun. I went to one doctor, asked me what's wrong. I told him. He was looking out the window, and they said, "Oh, smug, what do you want me to do?" I said, "I don't know. You're the one with the fucking degree." Says hell. Yeah, fair enough. I was thinking about that, getting older. Like, what are these cruise ship companies going to do when we're old? Like, my generation, I'm in my 40s. What the fuck are they going to do? Because we don't have the money to go on cruises. Young people don't go on cruises. Middle-aged people don't go on cruises. Unless it's like the Disney cruise or something. But generally speaking, it's just like old people who go on cruises. I've been on a few cruises myself. Hitchhiking my way around the world. Mate, I'm not saying, but I am saying, like, wow, just, yeah, they're going to be stuffed. I mean, really stuffed. No one's got the money for it. These big old bastard ships that belching out all this disgusting fucking oil all over the world. They use the dirtiest oil on those big clean ships. Bunker oil. And a lot of it. I told my grandpa I was a TT track record holder in the 50s. He loved his bikes. I was told my grandpa was a TT track record holder in the 50s. He loved his bikes. Lots of 50 pences for polishing the chrome on his Norton Commando. Norton. My dad had some Norton. He had Nortons, Mattresses, BSAs, old BSAs from like the war. He loved all that shit. 28-year-old, as they are closer to uni, says Jeff True. Yeah, hey Jeff, how you doing, mate? So yes, let's get back to the main topic of today's show. Sorry, side quests. I need to have a little button that says like side quest, and we can know that we're all going on side quest. And then I'll have like a little sign that pops up. It goes back on target. It's like stay on target. Be the targeting computer from Star Wars. Stay on target. Do a little audio thing for me. Everyone's out at the moment. I'm the only one in the house, so I'm kind of like, not in a mad rush. Tax the bloody oligarchy, says Paul. Couldn't agree more, mate. Couldn't agree more. Lol, must tell my son and his wife that they mustn't go cruising anymore. Lol. I mean, some do. By the time you're an OAP, Graham, or state pension will be privatised with the time and ages of 75. Yep. I have no illusions that I'm ever going to retire. I'm going to die fucking doing this, probably. I went on a cruise for €450 in January. Had to pay for drinks and internet and spa on top. I mean, yeah, you can still have a good life when you're old, but why are we designed to survive, yet our body's predisposed to turn on itself and start to break apart at a genetic level? Well, because that's the way that evolution works. Because there's an arms race going on between us and the viruses and us and predators all the time, and we need to get faster and better, more canny, cleverer at escaping predators. We need to get better at fighting viruses, and the way that's gone on for millions of years has been evolution. Before we had modern medicine, we just had evolution. Something that wiped out 99% of the population, left just 1% behind. That 1% would be immune to that particular strain of virus. And then the virus would have to try and figure out how to mutate itself and get rid of the few humans that are remaining. But it would only ever take out 99% of them, or 99% of any given animal population, plant population, insect population, whatever. But the reason why we stick around past our prime, and why we and I think elephants go through menopause. I think it's humans and elephants go through menopause. Whales. I think whales go through menopause, is because elephants, whales, and humans all have a family unit. And so grandparents are really great for looking after the kids, while the parents go off and hunt and forage and party on down. It's something why I really respect the Aboriginal culture, in that they get the grandparents to look after the kids, while the parents, they give the kids to the grandparents. They take them on walkabout, go and learn about their history and the origins of the world and everything, and their environment. They learn all the skills that they need to stay alive. Meanwhile, their parents are going out and fucking hunting or partying. I don't know, just having a good time in their 20s, 30s, and 40s. And then when their grandparents, they look after their grandchildren. Sorry. Which makes more sense to me. It just makes, there's a lot of older people, not all boomers. Quick, get the not all boomers animation off before I get shouted at by Anne. Not all boomers, but a lot of older people really like their grandchildren. They're actually much nicer to their grandchildren than they ever were to their own children, who they saw as an inconvenience to all the shit they wanted to do. It was the 70s, for fuck's sake. There were swinging parties going on. It was before anyone knew AIDS was a thing. Everyone was just taking loads of drugs and having lots of sex. That was the 70s. That was your parents' generation. They were just fucking and getting off their tits on blow. And kids were kind of a bit of an inconvenience. It's why kids in the 80s spent a lot more time out of the house than they do now, because they weren't being looked after. It's why we had so many serial killers and paedophiles driving around in vans with puppies and chocolate in the back, and catching children and throwing them in the back of the van and driving off. Why kids spent so much time away from home in the hands of predators who worked at their local church or community centre or Sunday school or Scout Hut or whatever, swimming association. Different times. But, those parents wanted to go out and party. They didn't want to look after the bloody grandkids. Now, or kids, just in general. Now they've got grandkids. Like, oh, grandkids, oh, they're amazing. And they just keep giving them sweets. Hey, listen, I just say it as I see it, all right? Don't out me. Let the grandparents look after the kids. Let the parents go and, I don't know, orgy or whatever parents do these days. Anyway, so let's get back on track, back on target. So, unresolved questions from yesterday's debate and vote in the House of Commons on the Welfare Reform Bill. Will Reeves, Rachel, not Christopher, have to tax the taxes, have to raise taxes in the autumn? Will Labour reintroduce the PIP changes later, or will they drop them for good? Is this the end for broader welfare reform agenda? The potential outcome here is more power to Angela Rayner, who they're going to have to credit with putting this together. I mean, if it was just left up to Starmer, Reeves, and McSweeney, I think they would have been defeated, to be honest with you. I think she's played a fucking blinder, if you want to look at it that way. And Tim's as well. And it's likely that Starmer's going to reshuffle his team and sideline Kendall, get someone else to do the work and pensions bit. I think that she might be made a sacrificial lamb. And I don't think she wanted these cuts. This is the unfortunate thing about this. If she does go, right, let's be fair, it was the Chancellor who said to the Department of Work and Pensions, you need to cut money. You need to stop giving people so much money. No department in their right mind says, "Oh, do you know what we want, Chancellor? Can we have less money, please? Can you fund us worse?" And what we could see in this, like, look, if I was in charge, and I'm not, thank God, but if I was, I'd spin this like a motherfucker. Like, I wouldn't have gotten to this problem in the first place. And I know that sounds like, oh yeah, whatever, Graham. You know, you'd be so great at everything, wouldn't you? No, not necessarily. However, in this situation, yeah, I would be a lot better because I know how to explain this shit away, which is that, you know, I wouldn't have gone to this level of stupidity of actually having this debate in Parliament where half your MPs are like, fuck this shit. I wouldn't have let it get to this point. I would have had these conversations with the backbenchers. I would have flashed it all out of what we're going to do, why we have to do it, you know, do it all one-to-one or whatever. But, you know, and I would have sold this as Labour is a democracy. And we listen to all the concerns of all our MPs, all of our union members, all of our party members, and the concerns of our constituents. And we're given a few options. We put a few options on the table, and we saw what we could do. We have to make some tough decisions. We understand that, and I think that everyone around the table understands that. But if we work together, we can come to a compromise that will keep the majority of people happy. Democracy. Instead of this. I don't even know what this is. I don't even know what this is, mate. What is it? Like, what the fuck? If you went into a company and this is the way they were running the show, you'd be like, you're going to go bankrupt in a week. What are you doing? This is fucking madness. Changing your priorities, changing your ideas, changing your mind, doing these fucking U-turns, and doing daft U-turns like the one on the fucking winter fuel payments. All I ever said about the winter fuel payments, and I'm on camera saying it, so, you know, at least I've got that evidence, is that the threshold was too low. That was it. The threshold needed to be brought up to about 15 grand. That's it. If you're going less than 15 grand, but no, they take it up the threshold up to 35 grand. You fucking kidding me? You know what that means? That means that there are working families who are earning less than £35,000 a year. They're not getting the winter fuel payment to keep their kids warm, their actual bloody children warm in the house, and instead we're giving it to pensioners who haven't worked for 30 years but get £35,000 a year from their posh private pensions, and we're giving them extra money on top of that, which I think is just absolute fucking madness. But hey, I'm not in charge. Thank God. So, how do you feel about all this? Like, do you think that Starmer's blown his mandate 1 year on? Hey. Did Starmer just blow his man? ... Should Liz Kendall resign? Was Angela Rayner the only grown-up in the room? I think she showered herself in glory yesterday, to be honest with you. I think she was the only one who seemed to be in any way competent. And, you know, can Reeves fix these fiscal black holes without tax rises? Well, I don't mind tax rises. I just don't want to be one of the people who gets taxed. I don't earn that much, you know. I rely on the super chats, which is nice, you know. Been very generous this morning. But I mean, all things being equal, if I had the mortgage to pay and I had kids to feed and clothe and everything else and all the bills, water bills, electricity bills, I couldn't do this. I couldn't do this show. I couldn't do this channel. So yeah, it's a difficult one. I just don't want taxes on me, but then I think, well, I only earn a few £1,000s a year, so don't think there should be more taxes. I think there should be more taxes on the rich. Tax them. But then we get all these bullshit stories about rich people leaving the country, which they're not. In fact, there's more rich people now than ever before. There's more millionaires than ever before. There's more millionaires now than there was in 2017. Millionaires. Let's have a look at this, right? Millionaires in UK plotted over time. Okay, let's have a look at this, right? More than 10,000 millionaires have left Britain. And yeah, the AI overview, paid for by the big technical companies, has said we've got a net loss of 16,500 millionaires, right? Let's go and have a look at the actual stats here. Oh, let's have a look at the millionaires, right? What's this? Why is this asking me to become a member? I don't want to be a member. I don't want to log in. Jesus fuck. Why can't you just give me the information I need? Right. Millionaire Tracker, Adam Smith Institute. There you go. Share of tax liability. Change in share of population who are millionaires. I don't know. The Adam Smith Institute, which is a right-wing think tank, reckons we're going to lose 20% of our millionaires by 2028. We're not. This is how hard it is to find, some actual information here. So let's look at Tax Justice UK. The number of billionaires in the UK has increased from 15 in 1990. There were 15 billionaires in the country. There are now 156. 10 times as big, 10 times as many. The UK's 50 richest families hold more wealth than 50% of the population. And yeah, I'm just trying to find the numbers of millionaires. How many millionaires in the UK? Fucking hell. Why is this so difficult to fucking find out? How many millionaires in the UK? Okay. Hold on to your tits. In 2023, the UK had an estimated 3 million millionaires. There you go. List of countries by number of millionaires. Thank you, Wikipedia, for actually doing that for us. Wow. The only countries that have more millionaires than the United Kingdom are China, which has a population of 1.4 trillion. Million. 1.4 million. And America, which has a population 5 times the size of the United Kingdom. So yeah, that's a lot of millionaires. That's a lot of millionaires. And this also millionaire should have the income by 1%. I'm trying to find if we can get like a number of millionaires over time. How many millionaires in the UK were there in 1990? Let's just say. Oh, okay. So in 1990, there was an estimated 63.6 thousand millionaires in the UK. 63,000. 2023, there were 3 million. And they're like, oh no, 15,000 millionaires. They're not. That whole stat that is covering the fucking internet with shit at the moment, this bloody AI slop, was just made up by a think tank who have a vested interest in not taxing the rich, because they're all rich people. They don't have to pay tax. They don't want to pay their fair share. They want to pay an unfair share. Fair for them, not fair for anyone else. They made it up by looking at posts on LinkedIn. Scientific, that, isn't it? Just maddening. Just absolutely maddening. So yeah. Number of UK billionaires rises tenfold from 1990. Why are UK billionaires getting so much richer? Because they don't fucking pay tax. They pay fuck all tax. They get away with not paying tax. Right. So we are going to have a look now at your messages, and then I'm going to go over to the papers. Some of them are leaving. Will we still be left with far more than we had a couple of decades ago? What's the problem, you had to ask? Says Anne. Yeah. Fucking leave, right? You can't keep your house. That's it. That's the rule. You don't live here. Got a housing shortage, mate. Use it or lose it. You don't live here? Okay. We're going to compulsory purchase your house for 50 fucking p. Oh, but it's a country manor. Yeah, they give a fuck. It's a country manor. We're going to take it off you for 50p, fill it with homeless people. Go fuck yourself. Paula, how you doing? £5 super chat. It's very kind of you. A lot of millionaires are that way because of the ridiculous property market in London and the South East. Not my problem. You're a millionaire in London, you're a millionaire in Durham. You could just come and live here. Good example of how to fact check and research, Graham. Thanks very much, Trip Chip. Although it would have been better probably if I had a little window here and actually showed you what I was looking at. But you gotta know, like Adam Smith Institute. Okay, ringing bells. That's a right wing think tank. Of course, this is not going to be unbiased. But then again, you know, there's left wing sites that you know, like Tax Justice UK, that obviously they're going to be slanted in the other direction. But the job of a good historian is to listen to 3 different anecdotes from the same battle, from the people who won, the people who lost, and people who didn't have any skin in the game, just watched from the sidelines, and you come to some conclusion of where their stories match. Because generally speaking, humans love to make shit up. That's why AI is so like human in a way. It doesn't know the answer to something, it just makes something up. It's just spookily like what humans do. Well, yeah, your job isn't to rewrite history and tell you that we never did anything bad in the past. No, it's to understand it. Understand the factors that led to that thing happening. And hopefully making it so it doesn't happen again. Well, actually, that never happens, does it? Regarding spending changes, I think the IFS employment review is over summer, and they'll very likely find the 5 billion saving wasn't needed, as I believe current estimates are post-COVID Tory trends. Yeah. Patriotic millionaires need shouting out as well. Says BU FU might. Yeah, but I mean, they've got their own pet projects that they like to go after. They're not particularly interested in funding a left-wing think tank or helping people who make content on the internet. Just saying. Trailblazing takes time, but we do need to get it right first time due to the political capital involved. Yes. And my dad never had a mortgage higher than 3k. Yeah. Bloody millionaires showing off at their big £1 million properties. To be honest, it's probably statistic better off using the poverty statistics, though. Having more than one of those is weird. Well, Scott, it's relative poverty, isn't it? There's absolute poverty, relative poverty, and all that kind of stuff. Just want people to be paid a living wage that they can live on and have a little bit of money left over at the end of the week to spend on nice things for themselves. There is a mentality amongst rich people everywhere in the world that poor people can't have nice things. You talk to anyone who was earning over £100,000 a year in the 1990s, and they'll wax lyrical about how awful it was that they went down a street of an estate in Bootle or Novice Green or something, and they all had satellite dishes. You know, they all had Sky TV. Yeah. They didn't have a skiing holiday in Biarritz or whatever the fucking place is called. they didn't have that. Yeah, because that would have cost thousands and thousands of dollars. But they could afford a little bit for the satellite TV, so they could enjoy being in their home a bit more than they otherwise would have done. No. Everyone, you get the same on the left, actually. This idea that we should all be living in fucking caves. What are you doing this show about being a socialist, Graham, when you live in a house? You should be living in a cave. Why are you saying things about animal rights when you eat meat? You should not be. You should be eating beans all day. Why are you saying this stuff about how bad cars are for the environment when you drive a car, Graham? You get on flights. Yes, I do. Because I live in society. I'm trying to make it better. I'm not going to make it better by retiring to a cave and dying of exposure or hypothermia or starvation. That'll show him. $1 million isn't what it was 30 years ago. That's true. But yeah, 3 million millionaires. That's a lot of millionaires. That's a lot of people with $1 million each. Go after multi-millionaires, or those with 8 figures. Well, yeah. Well, I mean, you've got half the country at the moment who think Nigel Farage is their guy, and the most pressing problem in the UK at the moment is quite simply that multi-millionaires can't get a bank account with Coots. Posh people need posh bank accounts to put their fucking posh money in. Nigel Farage earned over £1 million in the last year since becoming an MP. £1 million. Flogging gold. Vested interests, much. So, Nigel, what do you want to do? I think we should go back to the gold standard. Oh, really? Okay, that's interesting. That's an interesting take on that. Anyway, I'm going to head over to the papers because I said I would. Oh, God, this is awful. This is Virginia Guthrie's diary of text and alleged history of abuse. She was beaten by, this is the woman who was abused by Prince Andrew, and then she grew up and got abused by her husband and eventually took her own life. Really, really sad. There's a picture of the Queen, obviously, because there has to be. Humiliation for Starmer after U-turn on benefits. Drugs giant AstraZeneca mulls UK exit. Britain risks losing the main stock market listing of its largest companies because its chief executive deep frustration with the operating environment in the UK. Are we going to mention Brexit? Should we keep reading? Sir Pascal Soriot, the boss of AstraZeneca, would like to move to the US. They want to move the £163 billion company's listing to the US, according to several sources. He's spoken privately of his preference to move the FTSE 100 company's listing on a number of occasions, and has even discussed moving AstraZeneca's domicile. According to a source familiar with the thinking, any switch would be a significant setback for the government's industrial strategy, which published at the end of last month. Move would also be a blow to London Stock Exchange. The Soviet has spoken out against the restriction of the authorization of new drugs by NICE, particularly the company's breast cancer drug has been frustrated by the pricing of medicines after an NHS sales rebate scheme. Another problem with AstraZeneca, which isn't mentioned in this paper because this is a Murdoch rag, is Brexit. That's made things a lot harder for everyone. The Mirror here, we've got Ella there, Ella Toon, British footballer, and English footballer. Welfare Bill fiasco. Bill passes, but only after government makes last-minute concessions. Relief as PM delays the most controversial PIP eligibility kit changes. Fear and uncertainty remains for thousands of vulnerable people. MS Society's Charlotte Gill said, not that Charlotte Gill, I think it's a different Charlotte Gill. We're relieved the most catastrophic plans are being just dropped, but I still believe this bill risks harm to disabled people. There's a picture of the king for some reason here with his big sausage fingers and his stupid face. Hello, king. We've got Kate Blanchett at the tennis, and you can see the tennis in her eyes. It's like the fucking Matrix, but tennis. So I've got this idea for a movie. It's the Matrix meets Wimbledon. Yeah, fuck yous all. Starmer's benefits bill turns into farce. Late concessions to rebels. Remove most of the 4.6 billion savings PM had pledged to deliver. Deliverance. Hang on a sec. I can do something here if I'm very clever. I don't know how clever I can be actually at this time of the morning. But if I do that and then do that and then do that and then go deliver, that needs a bit of shading underneath it, doesn't it? I might go and do that now. Actually, get some shading underneath the words. So when I do PMQs at 12 o'clock today, you'll actually be able to read it when it's got a white background. Davey fights for job after Glastonbury hate chants. Tim Davies claimed his job after the Glastonbury for. I mean, it wasn't on BBC One. It was just on the streaming service. Not all boomers. That wasn't supposed to come on. It was just on. It was just on the BBC streaming service. No one was fucking watching it. No one was watching it. And the fact that people are more upset about what a stupid fucking rapper said, and it was a stupid thing to say. I don't think it's helped the people in Gaza one little bit. But people are so vexed about this. Not vexed about the fact that the IDF are actively shooting children in the head while queuing for food. That doesn't get mentioned. No one was rushing back to Parliament to make a big statement about that, like at least Andy did about Glastonbury. Just saying. Oh, and by the way, it's Glastonbury, not Glastonbury. Stupid Americans. Right, deliver! 4 in 10 babies have foreign-born parents. Good. Let be hospitals arrested over deaths. Oh, yeah, actually good. 3 of them have been arrested over the deaths, which is good. That someone's having to take responsibility for what happened because it was just fucked on every fucking level. The alarm bells should have been going off like fucking crazy, and they weren't. Alison Penison here. Glastonbury is a horror show. Glastonbury Horror Show is another nail in the BBC coffin. It's a very posh woman who likes saying posh things. This is some dog whistle bullshit from the Daily Mail. 20,000 people coming over from desperately fleeing for war. The bastards, how dare they? Rachel Ziegler is phenomenal as Evita, so now you heard it here first. Not going to help me up in Durham. I can't see her because I don't live in London. Can't go to the London Theatre where she does have Evita. Welfare bill passes as bruised PM backtracks to avert Labour revolt. No safe place in Gaza. Dozens die in IDF hit on a seafront cafe. Can we just explain that the Israeli Defense Force, right, has the capability of firing a rocket into someone's apartment to assassinate them in Iran? So like 1,000 miles away, they can fire a rocket and it can go through the wall of their apartment and leave the rest of the apartment block standing, explode in the room, and take out the person that they want to assassinate. And yet they accidentally have to bomb hospitals. They accidentally have to shoot dead kids queuing for food. But, a rapper said something stupid. Deliver. Stop saying deliver. That's really annoying me now. Stop doing that. Wildfires and warnings as heat waves hit Europe is the other story here. The top deck of the Eiffel Tower was shut yesterday as temperatures in Gay Paris hit 38 degrees C. Part of a heat wave has gripped Europe, leading to wildfires, health alerts, and temperatures of more than 40 degrees. There's a story about clowns on the front cover of the Star, so we'll just leave that there. 3 bosses at Letby Hospital arrested for manslaughter, which is fair enough. Now it's utter capitulation over PM's welfare bill. Kemi Badenoch insists that Keir Starmer is not fit to govern the country as she lashed out over his utter capitulation over welfare. It's not utter capitulation. It's not, because the bill still went through. It's not technically correct that it was not a capitulation. The bill still went through. And Sizzling Draper storms through Wimbledon, apparently. Don't know who he is, but well done, mate. And then we've got the Financial Times, the fucking dickhead there with this big bastard bill, which has got through, by the way. It got through the upper chamber, the Senate, by 1 vote, just like it got through the lower chamber by 1 vote. And one of the women who voted for it said, I hated this bill. It was an awful bill. But I voted for it anyway, because I'm a fucking gobshite. Santander answers doubts on the future of Britain by snapping up TSB for £2.6 billion. So TSB, Santander is a Spanish bank. And they've agreed to buy the high street lender TSB for $2.65 billion. Underline the Spanish bank's commitment to British operation only months after it entertained bids for the business. So there you go. Did you see Wet Leg at Glastonbury game? Fuck yeah, I saw Wet Leg. I fucking love Wet Leg. I saw them supporting Pulp a couple of years ago. They got a new album out this summer, and it's really good. But what I want to know is, can you take these fists? I forgot what the fucking lyrics are now. That's quite embarrassing. Acro said the engineered anger of pop star statement distracts from the content of the point being made. Yep, absolutely, every time. JOB's 100-degree turn on Bobby Villain was actually surprising, to be honest. The statement he released was on point. And the what was worse, like that's what bothers me. It's like this was a stupid thing said by an artist at a gig that was a small gig at a bigger festival that was available on the BBC iPlayer. Wasn't the pyramid stage, wasn't the main act, wasn't going out at like fucking primetime television for everyone to see. You know, this was quite a niche act, and no one's talking about Kneecap anymore, though, are they? Maybe did it on purpose. But even so, nobody's talking about what the IDF are doing in Gaza. And we should be. We absolutely should be. Because it's absolutely horrific. And just saying, oh, well, they're our allies. They're our allies. They're our allies. It's like, yeah. But, you know, allies can do bad things. And when they do, you got to call them out. It's like someone knowing that your mate's a serial fucking killer. Do you know what I mean? Every time you pop round, you open the fridge to get a beer and there's another fucking human body part in there of some poor kid who's been, you know, hacked to death with a fucking hammer or something. And you're like, oh, but he's my mate. He's my mate. Should I call the police? Should I tell him to stop murdering all these innocent people? No, he's my mate, isn't he? You know, we're allies. We're allies. We've got to support. It's very important that we support each other. He's killing people and putting them in the fridge, dickhead. Call the fucking police. Anyway, I'm too old for hot weather now. Well, come up to Durham, my friend, where it's never hot. I'm sitting here. There's a heat wave. I'm sitting here in my fucking hoodie. I've rolled my sleeves up, to be fair. That's my concession. Roll my sleeves up. Remember, Graham, right-wingers require something to shout and get angry about, otherwise they deflate. Yeah. How'd you get a wet leg? I hear the toilet to a joking glass to be say no more. Indeed, my friend, indeed. Get those laces nice and tight, Richie. Wet trainer, stretch and rub on your heel. Indeed. I think I'm missing your points there. £1 to a billion. That's the difference between buying a can of Coke or the bloody company it makes it. Lol. Did I say they were bought for £2? £2.70. Good bargain, that, eh? Buying a bank for £2.70. I look forward to Badenoch utterly failing to capitalise on this. That's kind of fine, man. It'll be an interesting thing because the Lib Dems, little preview for PMQs, the Lib Dems can say that these cuts to PIP were a disgrace and they caused a lot of heartache, a lot of mental distress to people who are already perhaps suffering from mental health problems. Well, the Tories can't say that because the Tories just they felt the cuts didn't go far enough. Do you know what I mean? Tories are the kind of people who will just like push someone out of a wheelchair and rob the wheelchair for themselves. So they don't have to stand up, walk around the supermarket. That's the kind of gobshites that they are. I give a fuck. So it'll be interesting what tack that Badenoch takes. I mean, it will be probably more to do with the dysfunctionality of Labour of late. But it's a bit rich coming from a Tory, isn't it? Talking about dysfunctional governments. Jesus Christ, they wrote the book on it. That might come up later. C Dizzy Dizzle says, I just got back from Palma, only to find the weather here has got to 30 degrees. Indeed. Some guy I've never heard of said something tremendous, not terribly helpful at an event I don't care about. Outrage. Yeah. I doubt the last comment will make it through, says Acro Dave. Maybe it didn't. Maybe it did. I don't know. I'm going to head off now. I'm going to prep for the next show, which is going to be PMQs at 12 o'clock. And then tonight at 6, if you would like to join us for the rabbit hole, Rachel and I will be jumping down it and we'll be talking about Plot holes. So give us your plot holes. Have a think about the plot holes that just absolutely infuriate the living shit out of you. So anything but politics tonight at 6 o'clock with me, Graham Hughes, and Rachel Harris. So please, yes, like I say, join us for that. Before then, PMQs, 12 o'clock. That's the schedule for today. You've now got it. So go away, enjoy the rest of your day as best you can. And if you do want to spend more time with us, you're very welcome to do so. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all your kind, lovely comments and all the generosity of the super chats. Obviously, you keep this channel alive. It's alive. If you've not watched the Kate Nash video that I posted yesterday, I will post it again because it's so good. I'm going to have to just find a link here. There we go. And I will add that to the chat. So watch this. This is Kate Nash performing Germ. It is an anti-turf song. It is quite powerful. And I've added subtitles. Please turn the subtitles on. Okay, right, that has been sent. It's now in the chat. You can click on that link and it'll take you over there. Okay, see you at 12. Until then, hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.